Plickers. First, I want to start with hearing what you guys know about Plickers, what I've heard about it, anything at all, nothing at all. If nothing's good, anything's good. Have you heard anything about it?
I don't know much about it, but I know it's a way to integrate technology in the classroom, and I've heard it's pretty easy. That's all I know.
Absolutely, it really is. What else? Have you heard anything else? Good things, bad things?
It's a way to do formative assessment.
It really is a way to do formative assessment. So I'm going to do 3 different types of formative assessments with you right now. And I like to provide some sort of context behind why I put up a certain question. So moment of personal story for a second. Like you guys know I'm not American. Like I was born and raised in India. I've been in this country 10 years. So I have a lot of these, what I like to call foreigner moments. So like I had a friend of mine sit me down and explain the concept of football. Like first of all, it's American football, different football. So explain to me what football is. Like you had to sit me down and be like, all right, this is offense, defense, special team. Like I looked at it very objectively. It makes sense to me. I love it. There's a lot of strategy in there. So I've become a bit of a fan when it comes to watching football because it's hard to find cricket on DirecTV every now and then. So one of the things I learned right after I got into the game is the allegiances. Like people have allegiance when it comes to NFL games, and I thought NFL game allegiances would be like geographical. So like if you're a Colts fan in Louisville, it makes sense. You have no choices. You're either Colts or Bengals. Like where else are you gonna go? But when it got to university, alumni allegiances, it was kind of mind-boggling to me. Like as a foreigner, I thought if you're a U of L fan, you either live in Louisville or you or somebody in your family went to U of L. That's the only way it would make sense for you to be a U of L fan. If you're a UK fan, like you or somebody in your family that's together. Then I found people who are like born and raised in California and New York and who are like UK fans. I'm like, what do you know about UK? Like it makes no sense. Like I have people like in Florida be an LSU fan. Like, have you ever been to Louisiana? Like what do you know about this university? So when I learned about the U of L UK rivalry, like my girlfriend is Richmond. She lives in Richmond. She is from Richmond, Kentucky. She went to EKU, but she's this crazy UK fan, and like I don't pay for merchandise, but she buys all these UK things. I'm like, I go to U of L. Like buy something U of L. Like what do you do? So it's just I never understood how and why people are so crazy about college allegiances, and so one of the first things I do, and one of the first ways I use Plickers, is to kind of get a gauge of the group. So this is the type of question that I'm going to put up that doesn't necessarily have a right answer to it, but it helps me instantly find out. Are you a UK fan? Are you a U of L fan? Do you care about neither? Or are you just not interested in sports at all? So I can engage kids in a certain way. So if I put up a question like this, the objective behind this question is not to tell people who's right, who's wrong. Your objective is to be as neutral as possible while trying to figure out how to accommodate and how to engage the kids depending on what their interests are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a way to answer it. Before we actually answer, I want to explain how you would basically modify or figure out what your answer is, and we'll scan it as a class. So I did most of the things in order. Tell me what do you notice before you actually raise it up. Do you see a number, a physical number in all 4 corners? Oh, sorry. Do you have a physical number in all 4 corners of the card? So somebody has 1, somebody has 2, 3, 4, 5. You see that? So that numbers are the group students. Like you can assign student number 1, student number 2, student number 3. Right between the numbers in each corner, do you see a letter?
Can we sit right here?
So you see the letters that are in front right there, right?
Yes.
So the letters are your options. So if you think the answer for you, if you're a U of L fan, you would raise the side that is A, you would have that raising up. If you're a UK fan, you would have the letter B raised up. If you are neither, option C, C up. If you don't care about sports in general, option D up.
What if you're both?
Which one? You go UK? Yeah. Get out of here. I'm just kidding. That's the impossible.
People think that's weird.
Yeah, no. It's possible.
They think it's weird.
So I thought of all the options, but I guess there are only 4 options here. So I'll consider that next time. So tell me one thing before we actually scan this. Why do you think that the letters and the numbers are so much smaller proportionally compared to the actual shape?
So other scholars
Other people can't see them?
Exactly, because if you raise it up, you're gonna look around. And you're gonna look around to see what other options do they have. So if you notice, the shapes are all different. No two-person has the same shape. And when you raise it up like that, you really have to squint your eyes to see what option is that. So it alleviates the option of what does everybody else see. So, yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to instantly try to find out what you guys think are in terms of your college allegiances. The only thing I want from you is to make sure your finger is not on the printed part. So if your finger is on anything ink related, make sure it's away. And all I'm going to do is point my camera at you. Lift it up.
I'm going to put it back where it was.
There
in the right hand.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
Stop trying to look at my answer. I know, look, squint.
Just like that. I got all I need. So just by looking on my phone, I can tell that we have more U of L fans here. We have one UK fan. We have two people who don't care about neither. There's somebody else, and one who doesn't care about sports at all. So this is something that I use for trying to find out what kids are interested in. So that's one way to use about this. I'll get into the specifics of how do you analyze the data, how do you create this, and all that in a second. But I want to model to you how different ways you can use the concept of Plickers. The second type of questions I usually use Plickers for is when I want to stir something up. Like I want to stir up a controversy in class. I want kids to care for something. And usually kids are heavily opinionated. They have opinions about everything. I might as well just like put them against each other so at least I can get them talking. So one of the questions that I use a lot for, and again, I'll tell you when to raise it up so we can scan it together. But this was a big deal. This question right here, and again, I don't know how to get the whole thing out of focus, but it says riddle me this. So this was a question, order of operation thing that was going up crazy on Facebook and Twitter, where kids who have graduated 2-3 years ago would send me messages saying, well, I've been in this Facebook war with this kid for the longest time ever. He says the answer is 2, I think the answer is 288. We got money on the line. Like, first of all, I'm not going to tell you the right answer here because order of operations is highly subjective. Like, it depends on who you teach it, depends on if you're left to right kind of person or a PEMDAS kind of person. So there isn't necessarily one right answer here. It depends on how you interpret it. Like, numbers without context makes no sense. So you have to put this in context. Like, why would you want to divide first? Why would you want to add first? So in order to explain that, like, if I just want them to talk to each other about something, I would put this up, and it's the same thing on Matt Damon's face right here. This is like a nice little hunting, but here's the question. The question is 48 divided by 2, parentheses 9 plus 3. There are 4 options that I thought of. Take a minute, think of what answer you think is right. It doesn't have to be right. I'm not going to tell you which is the right answer. That would obviously defeat the purpose. But I want to find out which team are you on. Are you on team 288? Or are you on team 2? Or are you on team Matt Damon is cute? Like, which team are you on? Let's take about, I'm going to give you a couple more seconds. Ready? Ready? Make sure your fingers are not on the ink. 1. Got it, got it, got it, got it. All right. So we got, nobody picked 288. Again, I'm not going to tell you the answer, but we had more people picking 2, and more people picking, is that my day man, thinking they're cute, and yeah, which tells me a lot. So like, I figured out what it is. Like, so like I can get into a way of why is this funny? Like, remember Good Little Hunting? Like, and then try to get them back into between 288 or 2. This is the second type of question you can use Plickers for, is if you want to split the room up into 2 or 3 or 4 different corners. Like if we had 4 objective answers here, you can put them in 4 corners and play the 4-corner game basically. And this just gives you instant data. So based on this, I have 5 people with option B, 4 people with option C, 2 people with option D. Yes?
But on there, does it tell you who answered what on your
It
phone?
absolutely does, and I'm going to show you that in just a second.
All right, but
Yeah, it absolutely does. Absolutely. Now, the third and final type of question that I use Plickers for, and I would recommend you use Plickers for, is to instantly find out how much of the concept you just taught made sense to kids. So if you want to use that as a like exercise. So let's say I'm teaching a concept on average velocity, average speed in a physics class. Like there's a whole funny video on YouTube where somebody asks some lady on the street, if you're driving 60 miles an hour for 1 hour, how much distance do you travel? And this lady does all kinds of math, and they're like, it's 60 miles, come on, get it together. But it's funny, people think it's hilarious. So this is the type of question where you can have a specific right answer. There is one right answer and there are 3 wrong answers, what I want to put up. So this is not something that I want to just start controversy on, or just want to find out, gauge the room basically. This instantly tells me how much of the content that I just taught made sense to you or not. And I make intentional effort to not put anything complicated here. This is super basic math. Let's see if we can figure this out. I'm going to see if I can get this in the range here. Can you guys see this? Yeah. Okay. So it says suppose a car drives 30 miles an hour for 2 hours, 40 miles an hour for 1 hour, and 50 miles an hour for 1/2 hour, which is 0.5 hours. How far did it travel? There is one right answer, there are 3 wrong answers. Take a minute, scan it, tell me what you think. Did I get you? Yeah, I think I did. Gotcha.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Take your time.
Okay, here we go.
Sweet. So now, let me show you how I basically analyze this on the screen. So, this is what my answers are. I have 6 people who picked option A. 2 people picked option B, 3 people picked option C, 1 person picked option D. I can see the same thing on my phone. You can see the green and the red. There's obviously 1 right answer in green. There are 3 wrong answers in red. That instantly tells me that out of 12 people that are here, I had 50% pick the right answer. The right answer is option A. It's 125 miles. So 30 miles an hour for 2 hours is 60 miles. 40 miles an hour for 1 hour is 40 miles. 60 plus 40 is 100. 50 miles an hour for half an hour is 25. 125. So these are 3 different ways that I would recommend you use Plickers. Now I want to show you the background work behind it. So here you go. So one of the first things that I would do, okay. Untangle the wires. So one of the first things that I would do is where you see the guest 1, guest 2, guest 3, those are actually supposed to be kids' names, and you can put them that way if you do a little bit of a legwork up front. So I'm going to sign out of my Plickers account. I'm going to show you a couple of things on how to do that legwork from the very beginning. You can either follow along or you can write it down. I'll go super slow. But basically you have students, you have names, and you can even reveal the answers. So if I really want to know who got it right, who got it wrong.
Is it an app or a website?
It's on a website right now. So
Okay.
I'm going to come to the website.
Probably plickers.com.
So I'll start from the very beginning.
Plickers.
So open up
Like
your
Pickers,
regular
but
Google.
Plickers.
Okay, Plickers.
When you go, first thing I just Google Plickers. 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 First thing that shows up, click on it. It's plickers.com. I'm going to sign out of mine so we can be fair and square here. This is the first thing you should see. There are a couple of ways you can sign into this. I don't think this one recognizes our JCPS Google accounts as Google accounts, but when I click on sign in, you can either make your separate account, or when I click on sign in, I just usually click on sign in with Google at the bottom, and I usually pick my private email, and this is what you get to. So give you a minute to see if you want to create your accounts. Once you're in there, you want to be in the library tab, which is on the top part in blue right here. see if you can click on the library tab and give you a minute to see if you can get there.
Does anybody know how to unfreeze a computer? The mine like does not behave when it's not plugged in and it's totally freezing up.
Alt Control Delete.
Yeah, I've been hearing it.
Oh, really? Maybe just hibernate and restart. That might be an option. So the first thing you have to do when you get here
It won't let
is
me log in. It won't turn off. It won't do anything. Like it goes really wonky when it's not plugged in.
that's fine. See if you can just follow along the board right now. I'll fix your computer as soon as I can and try to show this to you again. Would that be all right? So once you log in, the first thing you need to do is you need to do a little bit of upfront work. So right here, when you see the Classes tab up front, click on that Classes tab real quick. And in the Classes tab, let's say I want to create a new class for 7th period PD class. So I'd click on Add New Class. I want to call this 7th period Embedded PD class. So 7th period EPD class is my title. I'm going to make you guys other grade. Subject, we're going to pick math. And let's say I like blue. So we're going to go with the blue as a class color. Click on Save. So we got a brand new class. Now in this class, you want to add the roster. So one of the first things you want to do is you want to create a roster report from Infinite Campus. Click on the Add Roster part, and just copy paste the whole roster here. So basically, let's say I want to, sorry if I'm posting these things on the board, but let's say I want to go to Reports Roster. I want to click on Blank Spreadsheet, First Period, Generate Report. So I got a list of my first period kids right here. So all I'm going to do is go here, copy paste all these kids' names, just like that. Control C. And there's one thing college has taught me: Control C, Control V. Here we go. You go here, you remove all their school grades, years. And just like that, I just added like 25 names. Cool?
It's not open, don't worry.
You're good. So this is how you would add names. Let's say you want to change something. You misspelled a kid's name. You can click on any name. You can click on drop-down menu, and you can click on Edit Student. You can archive a student. You can delete a student. If you want to move numbers, 27 is just too far back for this kid. So I can physically pick and drag the numbers, and that way you can change the numbers around. See that? So that's another option. So that's how you basically have to do a little bit of legwork up front. Now I want to show you how to add questions to this. So let's say you go to library part right here. So in the library part up front, you will see a pink option that says New Question. Click on that. So you type in a question here. So let's say I want my question to be, what day of the week is today? Let's say I want to add a nice little hump day image to that. So I can click on the add image. You got to have a hump day image saved somewhere, downloaded on your phone. You can click on that, add it if you want. Why not? Make it interesting. And then you write your options here. You can either make this question a true or false question, or you can make it a multiple choice question. Now you can have less than 4 options, but you can't have more than 4 options at the moment. So right now, let's say I want to make some options. Here we go. Now there's only one right answer for this, so I'm going to make sure Wednesday is selected as the correct option. And you click on Save, and we got this question. Now I want this question to be assigned to a particular class. Okay, so here's the tricky part. You have to do what's called add these questions to the queue. and then the Q shows up on your phone. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to lose you for 60 seconds, but it's going to make perfect sense as soon as I finish the whole thing. So let's say I click on Add to Queue, and I want to add this question to my 7th period EPD class because I want to ask you this question right now. So I'm going to click on Add to Queue, 7th period EPD class. So in my 7th period EPD class, this is the first thing that shows up in my question queue. Okay? So now I want this to show up on the question, on the board. So you see the live view button right here? Yeah, click on that. And this is what you will see on the screen. Once you have that on the screen, basically all you're going to have to do is, on your app for Plickers, which is something you can download off of your phone. I keep it in this education folder right here. So you click on Plickers app, you sign in with your Google account the same way I did. The first thing that shows up is pick your classes. So the class that I just made shows up live. So I'm going to click on 7th period EPD class. In my 7th period EPD class, there's a queue. The first question that I added to the queue, as soon as I click on it, keep your eye on the board, check this out. As soon as I click on it, the question shows up here. So that's the beauty of the live view part. So I don't want kids' names to be up here, for example, right? So I made the questions show up. Now I wanted to make sure kids can see it. So I'm going to hide the panel. I'm going to make this full screen. Zoom in, zoom out. And then you ask the kids to raise up their answers. You scan it real quick. You can see the answers on your phone. If you want to share the answers with the kids, you click on the show panel part. And the show panel part, if you click on the reveal answer part, it tells you who was right, who was wrong, like in the miles per hour thing. If you click on the graph, it tells you how many kids got it right, how many kids got it wrong. That's the thing we did earlier. So let's say I want to test this out, actually. We did all this work. Let's see if you know what day of the week it is. So let's raise it up, see what you think. Fingers on the thing. Yep. Go. Thank you for the intentional wrong answer, hopefully. Random. Okay, good. That's good. Good. Sweet. So right away, show panel. So these are some random names. Thank you for the 2 intentional wrong answers. That helps. Unless you really don't know what day of the week it is, then I'll hug you at the end of the day and buy you a beer, hopefully. But it's really but yeah, it's Wednesday. Congratulations. It's Wednesday. So that's how you basically do that. And if you want to reveal the answer, click on this. It changes colors, red and green, pretty universal. So a couple of things I want to share with you based on my experience. The whole reason I have these things ready here. You have to do a little bit of legwork up front. This is something you can find on the Plickers website, and I'll show you that in just a second. But basically, this software can be used productively. This software can be a drag, depending on what your class culture is. So I used this fall 2016 at the very beginning. When I didn't have my kids on campus just yet, I wanted them to see something cool. And one of the things that I ran into was the idea of camera, especially my phone, pointed at their face. Kids think I'm recording. First of all, I don't want your face in my phone. Nobody is looking at your face. Hold it over your head. I'm not doing this. If you have 30 kids and their pictures are overlapping over each other, you should do it by rows. So let's say I have first row right here. So I'll say first row, raise it over your head, quick scan. Second row, raise it up, quick scan. And while you're scanning, it either shows a green flash or a red flash on your phone. So you instantly know if this got scanned or not. So the couple of people that I missed, it's due to glare. So glare is a problem. Kids usually have their finger on top of the ink. That's a problem. And just the idea of, I'm not recording this. And if kids are afraid of cell phones or whatever, PTSD reasons, put up your iPad. iPad has the app, same thing. It just depends on, like, as soon as the conversation got to my constitutional rights, like, I didn't save a waiver form, I was like, done. Like, we're not going there anymore, because, like, anytime Constitution's brought up, I have to remind them they can't empty their bladder without my permission, so what kind of constitution rights do you have? So, it's like, we had to, like, just tone it down a little bit. So, it's just, it depends on if you can make it used consistently. This is one of those things that is more of a ownership move around version of clickers. So clickers, you could be in your seat randomly pressing buttons and not be engaged with the teacher at all. But for this thing, you don't need this technology, first of all. None of you had to have your phones out for this. You just need a piece of paper, and you need to be attentive, because I'm only going to scan you when the camera's pointed at you. If you miss the opportunity, you're done.
That's so funny you said that, 'cause I thought that we were coming here to learn how to use Plickers.
Yeah, right.
I think this is all.
So
right.
interesting. I love it.
I even started to bring my Plickers.
Yeah.
Can you help me? But it's okay. Don't worry about it.
No, awesome. So if you want to see where I got these cards made from, so back to this thing right here. If you go at the top part, there's this tab that says cards. Click on it. On the card section, there's a standard Plickers card set, which is what I did for free. We have 40 kids numbered. There are 2 per page. You print, laminate, cut it up. Print, laminate, cut it up. If you want specifics, we have a standard set, an expanded set, a large font set, a large card set, a large cards expanded. I mean, you have all kinds of choices. If you're willing to pay and you just don't want to do all this legwork because you don't have student aid or whatever, go to Amazon. Like, you go to Amazon, click Plickers card, people make money out of it. Like, they make these look really pretty. They find these anti-glare laminates on it, and they sell it. Like, there's one for $20, but how much you pay $20? Like,
Do they have to be
right
laminated?
there. For me, I do that because otherwise kids are bound to mess up the algorithm of the shape.
Right.
So there needs to be, this area needs to be unobstructed for it to be recognized as numbers 13. So if a kid just starts shading right here, that's going to mess up my scanning.
Gotcha.
And also, I didn't laminate them in like they start fading.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
If
I
I-
wish I would have laminated mine.
Okay.
But that's the only legwork you have to do. You have to create your classes, rosters. You have to print this. You have to keep it in order. And hand it to kids. One of the things we talked about yesterday is there any way to keep this taped to the desk and you scan it? That, I would not recommend that, because then you have to change the direction based on the option. And what if you are not facing the same direction as a student? And this becomes an argument. It's meant to be interactive. So it's meant to be for a kid to raise their hand over their head and all that stuff. Yeah.
Can you show us where you see like who gets what right?
Who gets what grade?
Like if
Yeah. So let's say for the questions that we just
if I'm
did.
number 5.
Uh-huh.
or-
So
I
let's
want to
say.
see who if like where I don't know where you click on that.
So
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Miss Upadhyay,
Yes,
real
ma'am.
quick, do the kids get, each time you do this, do the kids get the same number every time?
yeah. So basically, when I created the roster, I assigned a number to the kid,
To the kid,
and
okay,
then that kid gets the same number.
same number, okay.
So I would have the same numbers
Okay, I got one.
for the entire day, but number 1 in first period is a different kid. Number 1 in second period is a different kid.
Right.
Right,
So I just
So I want
assigned them by
to
number.
see
Okay.
if like number 12, if Ruben got all of them right.
Okay. So amongst all the questions, right?
Correct.
Okay. So basically, you go to your question history,
Which is
like in the reports part.
reports. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the reports part, let's say the question that we picked for what day is it? So I'm sorry. Classes 7:30 PD. Give me 1 second. I think I have this. Okay, so here it is. So this was our this was our lesson from yesterday. And this is not something I would recommend you put up on the board. But when you go to the questions, you have names, you have answers, you have card number, and the green means right, dashes means not right at all. So you
So
might
it's
have,
by, it's organized by question.
unless you basically organize your whole question. So let's say you have a 10-question quiz. So you line them up, question 1, 2, 3, 4 in order, and you add all of them in order in the queue. Once you add it to the queue, at the end of it, you'll have a data analysis part. I did it separately, so it's not showing up all together.
You did each question.
Yes.
separately.
So you just have to have a level of continuousness to it
Okay.
for you to see the whole data analysis part. Yes, Ms. Hughes, did you have a question?
No.
So what? Yes, please.
Sorry. Okay, so what you just said, I can do a 10-question quiz all in one session instead of having 10 individual questions.
Yeah, and you'll basically have instantaneous data on your phone. Like while you're scanning, you'll have that. And at the end of it, when you sit down, you go to the reports, go to your classes, you pull the report for that question. You can individually or overall find the specific numbers for it. Yes.
Well, I use this in my class, and you can also, in the reports, you can do like for a week, and it shows you all the questions you did that week, and you can see like this person has been answering all week, and got it right all week.
Did you go to
This
question history,
person
right?
Doesn't ever do it, or
It's question history or score sheet?
so it's in reports and then score sheet.
Score sheet, there it
and
is.
then you can set a
So yeah,
range.
score sheet. Let's see if I can go to 7th period EPD, apply, and here we go.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
and
it.
it'll give you a percentage. So if it
So,
is 10
Ms.
of
Kip,
them,
this is what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Report, score sheet, find the period, apply.
Gotcha.
Just finish off.
I got it.
How do you do you said you can do all 10 questions in one. How does?
So basically, the way you would do that is
Yeah.
you would set them up all questions in the library right here,
Mhm.
and then you would add them. So I have what day of the week it is, suppose the car question, the Matt Damon question, and the U of L question.
Okay.
Whichever one I want to show up first in my queue is the one I click on. So I want to start with the U of L UK question because that's a nice little way to get a gauge of the room. So once you get here to this question, you click on this part that says add the queue. Oh, sorry, here, add the queue. Click on it, and you basically add it to your class. So right now in the 7th period EPD class, once I click on that, this is the first question that will show up. Let's say the next question I want to do after that is the Matt Damon question because I want to stir up something here. So I click on this thing right here, click on add queue, and I add it to the 7th period EPD. And now this is the first, this is the second. And I can change the order too, so I can basically drag this around and move it however.
Okay, so it's ordering the questions the
Yes.
way you want them.
Absolutely.
But still, for the class, you have to go give them the question one by one.
Yeah.
But which is.
Yeah. So there's a lot of work that you would have to do up front before you apply this in class. Because you kind of have to have your ducks in a row before you point camera at kids' faces. That's the lesson that I learned. What are you guys thinking about this? Do you see good sides, bad sides, any way to improve it? Mr. Jones, you've used it. You might even want to give me some tricks to see